The Rambling Geordie.
Welcome back, everyone. Jameela Jamil's in the news again, complaining that British people are truly the most evil people in history. Well, there you are, eh? But it gets better because her old mate Narinder Kaur is backing her up on it. So, let's go from the top, shall we? Jameela Jamil. She's an actress, an activist, which, you know, if someone calls themselves that, it just tells me they're an arsehole straight away. The woman who's never short of an opinion, as a lot of people have said. She's just been on a podcast calling British people the most evil people in history. Like, straight up. She compared us all to Thanos. She said that we owe India 43 trillion quid. Yeah, watch what she says.
Americans think British people are so sweet, which is crazy because British people are truly the most evil people in history. Like, they are Thanos. Britain is Thanos.
Go to a museum, guys.
Yeah, they owe 43 trillion to India.
Maybe. Go to Chilton.
Right, pause that a second, okay? Let's get something straight. No one's denying that the British Empire had dark chapters. Exploitation, some brutal policies, the lot, alright? But the most evil people in history? Come off it, man, fuck's sake. Genghis Khan's Mongols wiped out entire cities and maybe roughly 10% of the world's population at the time. The Nazis industrialised genocide. The Soviets under Stalin starved millions on purpose. The Japanese in the 30s and 40s had the rape of Nanking and Unit 731. Ottomans, Aztecs, Arab slave trades going on for centuries. I mean, the list is long. Ranking whole nationalities as most evil is lazy, childish, and just plain wrong. Especially from someone born in London, raised here, who made her name and fortune here and in America as well. Look, Jameela's no stranger to controversy, mate. She's been in more rows than a Geordie in the middle of Sunderland, okay? Body image campaigns that turned into pylons, political hot takes, and that whole saga a few years back where people accused her of having Munchausen syndrome, me included, by the way, after her health stories, they just didn't line up. She denied it, said it was gaslighting because of invisible illnesses like Ehlers-Danlos. Fair enough. I'm not a doctor, but when someone's got a long track record of drama and then comes out with blanket statements calling an entire people the worst people in history, well, you start to notice a pattern of attention-seeking, don't you? And here's the kicker, right? She's still here, living amongst the most evil people, enjoying the freedoms, the hospitals, the courts, the opportunities that the Empire and British institutions helped build. If we're not bad, why don't you just fuck off? But, like I said before, it gets better, because then along comes Narinder Kaur. Yes, we all know who Narinder Kaur is, don't we? Broadcaster, commentator, and professional fanny flasher. Now, she jumped on LBC and social media, and she, straight away started to frame all of the pushback against Jameela as racism, simply because Jameela's a brown woman.
Narinder, surely Jameela Jamil's comments are completely indefensible. Good morning.
Sorry, what do you mean they're completely indefensible? In her opinion, and remember, we've got freedom of speech, she's talking about the British Empire and the impact it had on her family. And she feels that if she feels that the Empire history is evil, that's her opinion.
Yeah, but she wasn't just talking about Empire. She said the British people, you and me, are the most evil in history.
No, because then she would include herself. And she's not obviously including herself. She's not saying we are the most evil. An estimated 165 million people murdered, raped, stolen from, abused. You've got 3 to 10 million people killed in an engineered famine by Winston Churchill.
Oh, no, don't start with the Bengal Famine. It was not engineered by Winston Churchill, Narinder.
Actually, a brown woman can't say, actually, in my opinion, what happened during the British Empire was evil. That's it.
That's not what she said. That's not what she said. She said the British people are the most evil people in history.
You need to watch the whole podcast then. The British Empire did some atrocious things. You don't seem to be able to accept this. And I think that a lot of people need educating to the truth of what this country did to only 100 years ago. It ended in 1947.
Well, the point you made about the Bengal famine is just factually wrong. But shouldn't she just apologise? Shouldn't she just apologise?
No, she should never apologise. So she should apologise for her opinion that affected her family directly, that affected her ancestors.
Her choice of words. Couldn't she say, look, I expressed this really badly?
No, definitely not.
And there she is, engineering famine. She's talking, by the way, about the 1943 Bengal famine, the one people always drag out to paint Churchill and the British as cartoon villains who deliberately starved millions of brown people. But here's the problem, okay? That's not what the historical record actually shows. Yes, the famine was a catastrophe. Estimates of 800,000 to maybe over 3 million dead from starvation and disease. I mean, it's absolutely tragic, of course it is. But it wasn't engineered by the British as some deliberate genocide, though. The causes were well documented by historians and economists, including Nobel Prize winner Amartya Sen. A major cyclone in 1942 that destroyed crops and infrastructure, a fungal disease hitting the rice, the Japanese occupation of Burma cutting off rice imports that Bengal relied on, wartime inflation and panic hoarding by local merchants, disruption from the war itself. I mean, you're in the middle of a world war. Of course, it's not going to make things easy. And failures in distribution and local administration. Sen's famous point was that it was more an entitlement crisis. Food was available, but the poor couldn't afford it or access it properly. Not a simple absolute shortage created on purpose in London. Churchill's government prioritised the war effort against Japan and Germany. Shipping was being sunk left, right and centre, and decisions were made with incomplete information. Callous? Maybe. Deliberately engineered mass murder? No serious historian claims that as a settled fact. Repeating it as gospel is just lying by omission to score brownie points. And you'll notice why I used that word there. Now, Narinder knows this game well, okay? She's an expert at it. She's been at it for years, professional race baiter mode. Every criticism of her views or Jameela's gets reframed as racism against a brown woman. She consistently argued against Britishness when it suits her, pushing narratives that paint white British people in the country's history as uniquely toxic, while downplaying the complexities. From our early days, talking about racism in the Northeast to our regular media spots, the pattern's clear. Amplify colonial guilt, dismiss any positive legacy, such as railways, law, democracy, ending practices like Sati, the eventual independence process, and then just call anyone who pushes back a racist. It's not a debate, it's a bait. And while we're on the subject of authenticity, Narinder loves calling herself a Geordie, calls herself a British-born Indian Geordie. Aye, really? She was born in fucking West Bromwich in the Midlands. Aye, she might have been raised in Killingworth and Westmore. Fair enough, family shop and all that. But born in the Black Country. It's not exactly a pure fucking Geordie, is it? She even tweeted herself questioning if Narinder Kaur is a Geordie name. Fuck's sake. Funny how the identity gets flexible when it helps the brand, doesn't it? Look, history isn't a simple goodies and baddies cartoon, okay? The British Empire did bad things and some great things. So did every other empire that ever existed. Judging every modern British person, or the entire history as the most evil, is just collective guilt and nonsense, okay? Defending it by lying about famines and race-baiting the critics just makes it worse. Jameela and Narinder are entitled to their opinions. Freedom of speech cuts both ways. But when the opinions are this selective, this hyperbolic, and they completely ignore the full picture, well, people are allowed to call it out without being called a racist, aren't they? The two of them are the biggest grifters going. And Narinder, if you do ever listen to this, by the way, okay? Trying to be the loudest person in the room doesn't mean you're the rightest person in the room, okay? Maybe try learn something. Maybe try and learn a little bit about history instead of just wanting to be right all of the time. Absolute fucking clown shoes. Right, that's it from me. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Drop a like if you like the video, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.
Don't be daft, man.